Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ian Miller. Once again, I am joined by Ray Jamison, or DM Ray, as he's known for. He's back to talk with us more about Madcaps issue 2, which is currently on Kickstarter. Ray, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. This has been a really wild ride, and I'm enjoying every minute. I'm just embracing the chaos.
That's how it's to look at this. It's the chaos because as you know, with any Kickstarter campaign, you can either do really well or sometimes you know
You
you lose a
struggle.
little, then you bounce back.
Yeah. So tomorrow will be the halfway mark of this campaign for issue 2. Some big differences between 1 and 2. In issue number 1, we were funded after the first 2 days. Issue
Wow.
number 2 was funded, same funding goal, and it was funded within the first 2 hours. So that's very flattered over that. Again, this is the halfway point. I was looking at the two trends. Last time, halfway, it was 41 backers. This time, halfway, we're at 45 backers. And we've almost raised as much in these 2 weeks as we did all 4 weeks from the first issue. So
Wow.
we're establishing some a fan base. I'm flattered that people are coming back. And like I said, this is only a 3-issue comic, so the people have an interest to come back. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes people, they have, especially if it's like an ongoing monthly, for example, can I afford to have this one also in my budget? And this is just
Yeah.
3 issues. It's cut and dry. And it's beginning, middle, end. You're definitely going to love it the way this is going. This has got so much crazy going on. It's a good time. There's even at one point,
Yeah.
one of the 4 main characters has to disguise himself as a woman in order to get out of a tight situation. It's terrific. It's a great time. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit last time when you were on. From what I'm remembering from our conversation was, I think you definitely enjoyed writing issue 2 a little bit more because obviously issue 1 is just establishing the your world and your characters and all that, but you definitely had more fun in the second issue.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of truth in that. So the first thing is you have to get a lot of information to the reader, but it has to feel natural. So there's a lot of creative constraints and there's challenges for pulling something like that off. A great example, first thing, everybody has to know the character's name, so you have to naturally fit that in some case, and then you get a feel for them and how they interact with each other and their surroundings, and are they cowardly or are they heroic when there's threats coming in, and all the little nuances. Granted, you can give it a feel of like archetypes, so you don't have to say as much, but I tried to not fit archetypes too much. But in that
Mhm.
first issue, there's action going on, so you can debut their powers, for example, and various other things. This issue, it's more about what's going on around now that I have the characters uh, fleshed out enough for the reader. It should feel like a slice of life where if you were a fly on the metaphorical wall, watching 4 friends hang out, you're going to get the gist of the relationship. There might be some tiny minor things that might go over your head, but you will feel like, again, these 3 issues take place over one night. You will feel like you were with them during this slice of life. It feels like the world exists prior, feels like the world's going to exist after, and overall it feels like actual individuals that hang out together. But like you said, there's a lot more focus on the development of the characters at the start. How do you do this naturally? But now we're into issue 2. We get to lean a little bit away. Now, with that said, there's also things to debut about the characters in this second issue. For example, Chasgo, the blue-skinned elf, he has a pet. It's a 3-eyed raven. It's albino named Emix. And at one point on the Kickstarter, you could see on page 7, you actually get to see him look through the eyes of his bird. So there's intentionally things put in there where you ask more questions, but not in a way where the reader feels like they're lost. Like, oh, I want to know more about that. Hopefully I get to see more. but they don't feel like they're missing information or any type of insider baseball or anything like that. But overall, yes, more focus on the action. Unfortunately, a lot of the action I couldn't show for issue 2 on the Kickstarter simply because it's a lot of spoilers. So there's some cool stuff. At the end of issue 1, all 4 of them intercept some bandits transporting this fictional drug Weave, which it's not confirmed whether or not this has something to do with the undead and an outbreak, a failed undead outbreak in the first issue. And so they're going to interrogate some of the individuals that are still awake that were transporting this drug. So you see, I show a little bit of page 1 and 2, and you could see these people kind of pressing these individuals a bit. But there's a lot going on, but all in healthy ways. There's action, there's some dialogue, there's a lot of tension in this one. This issue, out of I say issue 2 and 3 have the most tension. There's the gravity keeps getting heavier. So I'm just really looking forward to people seeing this issue. It's a big setup for number 3, without feeling like a filler issue. These 3 issues were originally 2. The reason I made them 3 is because there was so much going on. I didn't want it to feel overly condensed, so I spread it out a bit. It still feels like full issues, that's for sure.
I'm actually glad that you said that this is not a filler issue, because we see that a lot in comics.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, especially if you've got like, especially well-established comic companies, well, they want these certain characters to meet up in this crossover. Well, they got to make sure that time's for the same month or in tandem. Well, we've got to delay this issue. So what can we put in between those 2 issues? Little things like that. I try to turn a blind eye to and appreciate those issues. All I'm saying is mine definitely doesn't have that. It's all relevant stuff towards the story. And like I said, each issue is like an act, beginning, middle, and end. So this one's the middle part. This is more development of what's going on. This whole story, these individuals are always behind the 8 ball, a handful of steps behind what's actually going on. So in this issue, they get to narrow that gap so they're not so many steps behind the actual culprit, we'll say, without any spoilers.
Yeah, a lot of ways, this is almost like a chase type of story. You have a MacGuffin, and you have to get the good guys have to get, then the bad guys get, then they have to get again. So it's a whole chase.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because there's no established bad guys really as of yet. There's some generic bandits, so even that is a mystery. It's like a whodunit, but you don't actually like in an old-fashioned whodunit style story. Somebody's murdered who did it. In this case, they're not even exactly sure what the transgression is. I mean, obviously, this is a drug issue in the city, Ivywood, but is this undead outbreak and this stuff called Weave, are they just coincidentally happening at the same time? They're not. They're completely oblivious to what they're getting themselves into within reason. Now at this stage, they have a lead, and they're trying to pull on these threads and see where it leads, essentially. But yeah, there's not even an established villain yet. It's just a lot of what are we getting ourselves into? We're not fighters.
Sure, but yeah, no. I remember. I'm starting to remember what we talked about the last time, and yeah, this was definitely exciting, especially for issue 2. And I think people who have already backed the campaign, they're definitely going to be rewarded with issue 2, and then saying, "Okay, we had to find out what happens, how this ends."
Yes, and you know what? To add to what you're just saying, the final stretch goal, if we reach that funding goal, we're going to be debuting a black and white image of one of the covers for issue 3 at the back of issue 2. Like, stay tuned. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into, so it'll be good.
All right, I like that. Shall we show them the campaign?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. 16 days to go. 45 backers. Wow, you've gone way past your goal, obviously, as we talked
Yes,
about.
yes. Why don't you
Yeah,
play the trailer?
yeah, yeah,
Put that full
absolutely.
screen. I don't have any sound.
Oh,
That's okay if it doesn't work out.
no,
Anybody watching, I'll encourage you to go to Kickstarter, type in Madcaps, all one word, and go to
yeah.
issue 2, and you can look that up. It's a shout out to Cabo Foster and Michael Towson for doing the voiceovers in it. I they did a stellar job. They did very well. It's just a recap of issue 1 and a lead into issue 2. Yeah, definitely go and check that out. Now, there we go. If you scroll down, you can see the different covers. Keep going. It's just a little debut. There's bios of all 4 characters. Here we are. This
Oh,
is the
very
main
nice.
cover. This is Kenny Calderon and who drew it, and the coloring was done by Dan Kemp. Both, I mean, powerhouse combination, made a great end result. My covers, I wanted them to have something to do with what was going on in the issue. So in this case, all 4 of them are walking into a path that has a lot of overgrowth. And it's actually, this doesn't spoil anything, but it's actually advertised. These guys find the HQ of a distributor of this drug, weave. So you can see their varying expressions on their face. Some of them are more stoic than others. Little guy up front with a little bit of a smirk on his face, just saying, let's see where this mischief goes. But the color, it's just for a main cover, this is a beautiful piece. And those 2 men, definitely, I got my money's worth. That's just the nice way to put it.
Yeah, you did.
So if you scroll down to the next one, this is done by Jay Sloan, colored by Dave Kemp. This is Chasco, and this is his 3-eyed albino raven, as I mentioned earlier. There's some cool stuff. There are some cool things, I should say, rather, that, in regards to his relationship with this bird. I've already mentioned he can see through the eyes of the bird. There's other things going on. The one thing I actually just loved so much about this image is the body language. You don't know if he's sad or if he just wants solitude. You don't know if I've made this joke before. You don't know if he's on day shift outside on a smoke break sitting on a milk carton, but his pet on his shoulder kind of gives him a little bit of companionship, so it doesn't look like it's sadness or unwanted loneliness. It just looks like he's milling about his thoughts. And the way that Jay drew this out, and then Dave Kemp, rather, who colored this one, I did not give him a lot of color options to work with, and he still knocked it out of the park. Like,
Yeah.
these are pros, man, and I'm very happy to have seen this play out the way it did. If you scroll down in the next one, this is done by Russ Leach. This is done in Enid, the half dwarf, half gnome. He's got a telescope he's rigged to blast raw magic out of it. Again, just a combination of talent. We have Russ Leach in the middle, or Russ Leach who's drawn it, so your eye is drawn towards the middle, and pardon me, Dave Kemp, who colored it in a way where he downplayed the color, made it more subtle with the things on the outside, and then on the middle, it really, really pops. And I mean, the piece, I've said this about others, the piece just speaks for itself. It's a beautiful work of art.
It is.
And then this one's done by Rod Ramos Rodolfo. This is Madrakis. Again, this is another scene in the book. I took the script of that scene and I said to Rod, just showing Madrakis doing his thing, give me a cover for that. And this is how it turned out. And here you see Madrakis actually pulling Earth upward using some arcane ability. Great color. Thanks, Jordan. Definitely check out the Madcaps. This one, and there's other covers. But yes, the colorist. By the way, that colorist that you're commenting on, that's Dan Kemp. He's done over 100 issues of Spawn, basically 50 to 150. So this is a guy who's colored Todd McFarlane, Capallo, Chance Wolfe, John Ramada Jr., who did the Amazing Spider-Man close to the Civil War era. Dan colored all those Marvel Knights from the late 90s, early 2000s era. The man is a beast, and he has a lot of experience and talent all over the market. The final cover, this one's a special one. It's a metal foil cover. It's I can't use words today. It's a stained glass piece. It's drawn by Jenna Stark, and it's colored by Dave Kemp, Dan's brother. And it is, I think this one is going to really pop for metal foil. I think it's really, really going to look nice when it's done. It costs more, of course. Metal foil, it costs more to manufacture. If you scroll down, there's like a whole bunch of stuff. We won't go through every single little thing, but shout out to Victor Medina, who did all the interiors, and Dan Kemp, who colored everything. These guys know what they're doing. So there's page 1. You see that in the trailer. Page 2 is underneath it, where it just shows them pressing these individuals. And I mentioned underneath that is page 7. This is Chazgo seeing through the eyes of his bird as they get a layout of the compound that they're about to sneak into.
So that's very clever. That's very clever.
Yes. And again, Victor Medina drawing this. I said roughly what I wanted this image to look like. And then Dan even doing something like it looks like it has a glass lens over all of these things that he's looking at. I think it's just a well put together image. I think it's a statement. Like I said earlier, a lot of the action is spoiler, so I can't actually show a lot of the action here. In the next week or so, I may show another page or two, but I'm telling you right now, it's being held back on purpose because I don't want to give away too much. In this campaign, you can get a catch-up tier where you can get either digital or physical of the both issues. You can get 1 and 2. So if you're new to this franchise, to this story rather, there's many options. There's digital, there's physical. If you scroll down, there's a lot of artists love sketch covers. Issue 2 sketch cover, the letters are not orange, they're green. I want to do a different one each time. If you scroll down, there's also there's the physical copy. And then all the different variant covers, as you can see here. So there's Chazgo, there's Dunnan, and I wanted to do something where they all have some time to shine. Here we have Madcaps, and then there's the catch-up tier for physical. Underneath that is the metal foil cover.
Very nice.
Underneath that, anybody that likes to play D&D, this is a professional voice actor, professional dungeon master. I have played under his watch as a dungeon master 3 times. He is amazing. If you've never played D&D before, this guy can get you up to snuff in 15 minutes, and you will definitely have a good time. It's a one-shot. All of the money all of the money goes towards the dungeon master. I actually lose $1 on this once Kickstarter takes its cut and stuff. He was one of the voice actors in the trailer. I just like to play, and I like people to join in. Thank you very much, Jordan. I really appreciate that. I'm very happy with how these covers done. Now, underneath that, there's the 4 covers. If you want to get 3 of a kind, you can get that in a combo for a little bit less. There's also underneath that, there's something we're calling the enthusiast. There we go. I can do it. So underneath that, for you can get 1 of the 4 covers. It's not metal foil. You can also get a T-shirt, which I'll talk more about in a bit. But the cover art from some of the cover art selected from issues 1 and 2, I made for T-shirt, which I felt were really good caliber for like dynamic shots.
Yeah.
Underneath that, if you wanted to get all 5 covers, we have a combo for that. Underneath that, we have what we call the Fireside combo, which is any one of the 4 issues, non-metal foil, and we've got what we're calling plush tapestries. They're actually blankets, but I picked 4 images which I felt would look worthy of hanging on a wall. I live out in here in Canada. Believe it or not, it actually snowed today. So us Canadians love our blankets. So that plush tapestry would look good on a wall, look good hanging on my shoulders. Either way, it's a win. Underneath that, somebody's backed this one already, and I'm very grateful. It's called the Ultimate Collector's Tier. You can get all 5 covers. You can get the pinup art. You get a bookmark set, which I haven't talked about yet, or a metal foil poster, which I haven't talked about yet. 1 t-shirt, 1 blanket, a map, which I haven't spoken about yet, where all this whole story takes place. And I also haven't spoken about this yet, but if you like D&D, I have character sheets of all 4 characters as level, loosely based off of the 4 characters, level 5 to play in a one-shot. Yeah, somebody already backed this. I'm very grateful. They obviously are a fan of the cause, and I just really, really appreciate helping me get to where I'm going with this. Underneath that, you'll see a little bit better detail of the ultimate tier. So there's digital copy of number 1, as you can see there. Underneath, you can get a little bit better look at the map. The map was done by Storm Wickham and Dan Kemp. Definitely a good combination of, it looks OLDE old. It looks like it's weathered. It's beautiful. Underneath that is a better look at the pinup. Sean Langley, Dan Kemp colored this thing. Again, eyes are drawn to the middle because of both the art, the person who drew it, and the person who colored it. You can see all 4 characters in action doing their thing. From Madcaps, who hails from a giant, like kaiju-esque kind of electric eel that lives out in the ocean. One of the cool things Madcaps can do is he can exhale lightning out of his, or vomit lightning rather, out of his gizzard. You see Sarlacc, who is a devout dwarf, basically like a holy man out in the wilderness that lives in a city. He's got that battle axe he has, which you see by the end of issue number 1. It's a holy weapon, so it's really good in this scenario for smiting unholy things such as the undead. We have Chazgo on the left, blasting. He has some cool arcane abilities, and of course Dunanini at the top, who has influence on metals and alloys. So you see his hammer is actually generating some heat as he smashes one in the face with his lovely shield. Underneath that, again, there you can get a physical copy of the Madcaps issue 1. If you scroll down a little bit more, the Sean Langley piece. If you love the color piece and want to see the black and white, you can get the black and white as well for an additional $5. Underneath that, this image here is one of the covers, but a lot of people insisted that it should be a metal foil cover.
Right.
I gave a compromise where I didn't want to take attention off the stained glass piece because it's beautiful, but I also I felt a good compromise is the image without the logo, a virgin cover, $20 metal foil. It's about comic print size, so I think like it's a beautiful piece of work, and the people that are saying this should be metal foil, you have the option of getting it, but not at the price of the metal foil comic. So I think that's a good compromise for people that are looking for that. Underneath that, we have a bookmark set. Underneath that, we have the character sheets, which we talked about. And that's all the details, so you can play out these characters as level 5 in a D&D game. And then underneath that, of course, we have the t-shirts. There's different, you get to pick your t-shirt size, t-shirt color, and also one of the 4 art images. So don't think that image is stuck to that color. You can mix them around however you want. Those are covers from both issues 1 and 2. Underneath that is the plush tapestry, any one of those 4 images. Did you ever play NES, Nintendo?
Oh, yes. Yes,
okay,
I did.
So you ever play Shinobi?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so the cartridge art on that, the ninja, the guy who painted that is the guy that painted that middle image of Madcaps coming forward holding that sword. That is hand painted. That is not digital. And his name is John Zalesnik. He's done Warhammer 40K, Magic the Gathering. This man is well established. He's done various album covers to various metal bands. He is the one who designed the original image to the San Jose Sharks in the NHL. He's been all over. He did that cover for me for issue number 1, and you can get it hanging on your wall if you want. I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful piece. Any of those I think would be really cool hanging on your wall. That's why they were selected.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. You just ask these people on social media. I mean, I got people that said no, don't get me wrong, or I'm busy, but sure, why not? And I'm just flattered. They just didn't even flinch. They didn't want to know more detail. I just said, hey, this is what I'm doing. Here's some images. This is what the story about. I'm in. Okay, well, awesome.
You hear that, folks? You never know when you get to have someone whose work you've admired over the years say yes.
Classic Michael Jordan quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So we have our stretch goals. The first one we've unlocked, it's a humble die cut corner sticker. Look cool on a laptop, look cool on a binder. We are on the threshold of stretch goal number 2, which is hidden right now. You won't know until it's unlocked. If you scroll down a little bit more, you see it's hidden. As I mentioned earlier, if we hit that final goal, we will have a black and white cover reveal of issue number 3 added at the back of issue number 2, so you can get a little bit of a flavor where this thing's going to climax, where it's going to like get to the finish of this. And it's I've said this everywhere else, I'll say it again, it is torture not being able to talk about the story to completion.
Again, we want people to buy the comic. We want people to buy these things.
The last things I'll say, if you scroll down a bit more, there's a couple of the people part of the team, myself, of course, but shout out to Victor Medina doing the interiors. Shout out to Dan Kemp, who did all the coloring of the interiors. Micah Myers, who's doing all of the lettering. And then, of course, my publisher, Philip Russert of Philbo Publishing. He's done a lot for myself, and I'm very grateful. I wouldn't be able to do this without him. If anybody's looking up this Kickstarter, go to look at the bottom past this. There's a bunch of things coming soon. I only know aware of half of them. I couldn't tell you anything about Vanilla Land. There's one calling Light Warriors, which it's crazy. There's a huge, massive team, which it's got a lot going on, which is pretty cool. Underneath that, we have Apollo, which is a modern take on Chariot of the Gods. One thing I really want to talk about is Philip Russert currently has a book on right now called Papa. It is a tribute to his father. He tried to finish this 5-issue series altogether as hi DMW Comics. Philip Russert wanted to have this 5-issue series on trade paperback in his father's hands before his dad died, and that wasn't in the cards, unfortunately. But with that said, issue 1 he's decided to launch. He couldn't get all 5 issues done at the same time, but issue number 1, if you've ever seen the movie Gran Torino, where Clint Eastwood is miserable, get off my lawn kind of guy, and if you've ever seen Bob Odenkirk in Nobody, if you took Clint Eastwood and put him in that movie, it's basically an old man versus the mafia. There's a big twist, a big cliffhanger at the end of issue 1, which I cannot say, but I'm telling you, this has got classic Silver Age comic all over it. And anybody that's looking for something different, obviously look up the Madcaps, but definitely look up Papa by Philbo Publishing, Philip Russert. It's something. That one you just have to watch. I can't say anything else. You've got to. Nobody is badass. Yeah, it's a great. That is a great film. But this is the equivalent to that. But it's an old man versus the mafia. There's a lot of setup. By the end of it, there's a twist thrown in such a way you're gonna be like, well, I guess I'm getting issue 2. There's no way around that.
No. Yeah, I know Phil. He's also a friend of mine, and I was very saddened that this project didn't get off the ground originally was supposed to before his father passed. So I'm very glad that he's getting a chance, to finally, finalize that story in honor of his father. So I'm very
Yeah,
grateful for that.
anybody that like I lost my dad, I don't know how long ago now. It's actually 3 years. It's been 3 years now, and it actually I was tasked with certain things before my dad died, and I was honor bound to get them done. And there's just something I'm sure part of it had to do with grieving and various other levels of why I felt compelled to get this done. And it's very clear to me that Phil is going through that with this book, Papa. So definitely check it out. It's a statement and a half. I'm just telling you this story. I've done a review it. If you look up my videos on Facebook, I've done a review on all 5 issues. It's
Mhm.
very vague, and that's on purpose because there's a heck of a lot going on that is not yet to be revealed. But definitely give that a look. As for the Madcaps, I'm flattered to be where I am now. This same time last campaign, I didn't have as many backers. The same time last campaign, I didn't have near as much funds. I almost have as much funds in these 2 weeks as I did all 4 weeks last time. It's going really, really good.
Ray, I'm very happy for you. I really am. I can't wait to see this come to fruition. Also, issue 3 come to fruition as well,
Yes,
because
sir.
it's such an epic story. It really is.
Thanks, man. Really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So as I always say, folks, and I say this about all the people that come on this channel, especially when they have Kickstarter campaigns. You don't want to miss this. Okay, you really don't, because it's got everything you'd want, especially if you're fans of D&D. So I would seriously back this today.
Yeah. Another thing, if people are backing it and they, um, when we hit these stretch goals, it's just free stuff if you're a physical backer, you're going to get more swag. And one thing I try really hard to do in the add-ons, the stretch goals, I try to make it something I would appreciate getting, be it a gift or buying myself. There are sometimes people will get fluff stuff, and um, I'm not saying it's wrong. I just wanted to make sure it felt relevant when you look at this stuff.
Seems fair.
But yeah, all in all, this has been a really good ride, and I'm really looking forward to getting through this campaign, getting number 3 in the works, getting it done, and then getting this whole thing together. There's for number 3, I've got just a lot of cool things going on. The story, the covers, again, add-ons, stretch goals, all of it. It's really cool being able to sit back this far and plan it out. But on the flip side, I said it once, I say it again, torture. It's a story for another time.
Well, that's the thing. Again, like I said, I'll say it again. You want to keep the best secrets held back, because we want you to actually make these purchases. We want you to buy issue 2.
That's right.
And for
Yes,
those of you
sir.
who missed out on issue 1, you can buy obviously issues 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The link to the Kickstarter has been scrolling this whole time below the screen, and we got 16 days to go. Definitely, folks, back this project.
Yes, sir. So 16 days to go. I was just looking at a couple of the stats. I'm very flattered. The stats are quite positive. I mean, the video plays, over 70% of the video plays were completed, which apparently is really high, of the trailer. Conversion rate isn't bad. It's over 20% conversion rate. I don't have anything to gauge that to. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've just had, out of the last, how many days total? So 13 days now, 14 days. In the last 14 days, there has only been, hold up, there's only been 3 days where there hasn't been any growth in the funding. So apparently in the middle third of a Kickstarter, it kind of dies down a bit and then spikes again. I've just been very consistent. So I don't know if this is just an anomaly, but either way, it's climbing nice and I'm super happy with it.
It probably is an anomaly, but yeah, as I said, you should be happy with it.
Yes, sir. Do you ever give away a book one to draw in? Do you ever give away book one to draw new backers? So the short answer is sometimes there's contests. Obviously, this guy, he needs incentive to back it. Can I get a confirmation of that? Good, sir?
Yeah. TDM Comics. You need an incentive to back Madcaps issue 2. Yeah, I don't know if he's running right now. I have no idea.
That's okay. That's all right. I'm sure it'll come up in a second. Well, while he's replying, tell me some of your project, Ian. I know you've got one coming out, 3 issues.
Wait a second. Hold on.
Oh. No, I don't mean me. I give mine away leading up to it. Oh, I see.
Okay.
I get it. There are times, depending on the podcast, we do have contests. I'll give away a digital copy of issue number 1. I had a line art contest, and the line art contest was whoever won drawing my characters would have Dan Kemp color your interpretation of my characters. Nayar, why can't I think of Nayar's last name? Look it up here. Hold on. Nayar Lagunzad. He won, and when I held that contest, I got a lot of traction and a lot of attention. There were a couple people that said it was like free labor I was exploiting, but the reality of it is, and I never told anybody, I think this is the second time I've said it, that person I'm hiring for a cover for issue 3.
Wow.
This is my first time writing. I don't have a big network. Sure, I've looked for big names and asked and like rolled the dice, but I don't like, these are people that also are trying to network themselves. So granted, I have this extra page that I paid a professional to color, and it's one more thing to print in my book. It doesn't add any value. But granted, that person did that for me, not for free. We discussed the terms for the contest, but now I will be hiring this person for a cover. So I'm very happy I did the contest for that reason. I need the contacts, and that person needed one, and I would have never found out about this person's talent unless I ran that contest. So with the end game in mind, it was a really good thing, and I'm really happy I got to pull that off.
All right. That's fantastic. To answer your question, yes, I am working on a couple of projects. As always, I like to plug in my own stuff as we go along. As you can see the link below, this is where you can purchase the first 3 issues of Codename Hunter, my comic book series. I'm currently working on issue 4 right now. I'm actually working to make some corrections to the digital pencils that I'm working on, so I can hand off to my inker, Enrique Lopez, because he's been very patient, because again, since I'm writing and illustrating this, it takes a long time because you're pretty much doing this yourself. So I'm very grateful for him to bring in his expertise as an inker into this, and he's a talented inker as well. So this is issue 1, and this is issue 2 and issue 3. And here's some preview shots of issue 1. it's pretty much James Bond meets Star Trek meets Star Wars with a
That's
little bit of
cool.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah,
It's kind of like a sci-fi James Bond.
exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've been working on this for a long time, just developing the story and all that. And just putting in science fiction made it much more simpler because, again, it's sci-fi. It's in the future. Anything's possible.
Yes. Yeah, I get that. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
also,
love the concept of sci-fi because if you want something to be believable, but you want to go outside of believable reality, it's attainable, if that makes sense.
yeah, absolutely is. I just love doing it.
Right on, man.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks very much. Yeah. Also, I have another thing on tpublic.com, which is actually my storefront, where I sell little designs for one of my characters, Little Ian, as well as Codename Hunter. And currently, so for those who celebrate Easter, I actually have 3 Easter designs.
Right on, man.
Yeah. Each of them is called an Easter mystery. This is part 1. It's a little story in there, but to find out what happens, you got to collect all 3.
I like it. That's
Yeah,
smart.
yeah. You get in any color that you want, any size. You can also get not just in t-shirts, coffee mugs, pillows, baseball caps,
That's
you
really
know,
cool.
tapestry itself, and yeah, and so on. So yeah, so all you just go in and type in teampublic.com, type in Little Ian merch, and you can buy my storefront.
Right on, man.
And yeah, and for those of you who've also been following my stuff on Newverse Creative, which is another YouTube channel, I sometimes write some Batman fan audio dramas. Yeah, and I think we're near completion to one of my audio dramas called Batman Enigma, which is the unofficial 3rd chapter of the Tim Burton Batman series.
I remember seeing you posting that on social. It's a
Yeah,
really interesting concept because there's a lot of many fans of those first 2 movies very much romanticized with what would happen. Like you didn't just think of it, you plotted it out and made your own like expression of it, which is really neat.
yeah. I could not have done without my 2 co-writers, Eric Elliott and Paul Brian McCoy. I had the genesis of the idea of the
Mhm.
story of the plot. This was back in 2013, and it
It's
took a
been a bit.
long time to get there. Yeah, it took a long time
Yes.
to get there. So that's coming out, and I just recorded my lines for not just that, but also Ben Affleck's The Batman audio drama, which I also wrote, which will
Mhm.
come out at some point soon. So yeah, keep a lookout for that. If you go to Newverse Creative, keep a lookout for that. But obviously, I'll make my announcements on my social media accounts. But yeah, that's what I've been up to so far.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Got a lot on the go, and it's just fun doing this stuff. I'm at the stage, like I said before, this isn't my day job, and I very much enjoy um, doing it at my leisure. You pointed out there's a story since 2013, so that's 12 years.
Yeah,
You're in no rush. There's no pressure to get it done, so there's more creative juices as opposed to deadlines that squish the juice out. It can just
yeah,
be its own thing, which is really awesome.
it absolutely is. And like I said, I've been very fortunate that I worked with some very talented people, and I can see you've been fortunate for working with some talented people as well. So my hats off to you, sir.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of collaboration. Collaboration, people can always amplify what you're doing. There
Yeah,
are some times that you don't want to show anything yet. Like I'm a big fan of having a draft done before having somebody look at it. Sometimes they unintentionally try and steer you away you're not going. But if you show a final draft or a first draft rather, they see where you're going. They help steer you that way. It's a different animal.
yeah,
And yeah, I'm a big fan of collaboration. All the people that I've worked with up to this point, it's just a very satisfying end result.
Yeah, same here on my end. I think we actually do have one last question.
Yes. How do you guys feel about James Gunn using All-Star Superman for the new Superman coming out? Well,
Ooh,
you know what? It's funny you mention that, because what I've noticed is a lot of movies that come out based off of comic titles have nothing to do with the comic that the movie is based off of. Old Man Logan was not Old Man Logan. They called it Logan. They said it's going to be Old Man Logan. It's not even close. And I don't get me wrong, the movie was great. I enjoyed it.
yeah, yeah,
Captain America: Civil War had not like next to nothing to do with the Superhuman Registration Act, as they say in the comics. And there's many other examples of that. So for James Gunn to say it's going to be based off of All-Star Superman, well, is he going to arm wrestle Hercules? Is he going to fly into the sun at the end? All the things that happen in All-Star Superman. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be what's that movie with James Stewart? Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, it's called, I believe. Hold
yeah.
on, let me yeah, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. James Gunn said it's going to be paralleling that storyline. So
Okay,
that I find very fascinating. I like the idea of Superman who this is a person that was raised in a small town with small town ideals, going to a big city and the world for that matter, and trying to hold on to his convictions, even though it'd be very understandable to be so discouraged that not everybody wants to steer towards a better idea. And I really like the concept of him being this very powerful individual. Another thing in All-Star Superman, he talks about being frustrated how everybody just sees him as muscle, as opposed to, I remember in the animated version of All-Star Superman, I almost have the cure for cancer. I wish I was known for more of these deeds. Then it shows Lex Luthor. Okay, we have the cure. Instead of making it a one pill, let's dilute it over 30 years so we get more money out of people and that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
going back on topic, I like the idea of Superman. I want to be doing better for people, not just saving people. And for him to get very frustrated with people stuck in old ways, or the word corruption gets used too much nowadays, in my opinion, but here it would apply. If you have like corrupted Senate or some type of corruption within a vein of government, and him trying to do better, and the specific veins trying to basically stunt his intentions, that I find very interesting. But for them to say it's All-Star Superman, I will stay reserved. I don't see that happening, especially when you have the Justice Society involved. Immediately, I'm not seeing this becoming All-Star Superman. I think it's going to be a very loose equivalent, just like Captain America: Civil War, or Civil War rather, Old Man Logan. We just got to sit back and see. I really. Some people are really hating on crypto. I just love it. I think it's just a cool idea. That scene there, he obviously, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, I think he saved something, be it a comet. I think he like stopped it from hitting Earth, but in the process got knocked ways away. And the deed was done, and that's why he's being asked to be dragged back to the Fortress of Solitude. If you really think about it, if that was a villain and he got knocked far away, he'd get up and get back in the fight. So
yeah,
I think he
absolutely.
just completed some type of mission or quest, and then you see him getting like magnified sun rays put on him. They've kind of extrapolated on that scene a bit more. Even if that's all they show of crypto, I don't feel that's false advertising. I think that's a cool little thing. Another thing in All-Star Superman, he eventually has his own pet Sun Eater, which he's six on. I forget the name of the villain.
Solaris,
Yes,
Solaris.
Solaris. That's right. Um, I I hope that it's broad enough to have heroes and some villains in it, but I hope it isn't so broad. And James Gunn, it does a good job with teams. I've never felt like he's incorporated too much at once, like a Zack Snyder or something. But
Mhm.
I think it's I think he's going to have these are going to be my limits of who I'm going to incorporate, and then work within that gap. I find James Gunn is way better at that than Zack Snyder. So again, we got to sit back and wait. But I, at a reserved level, am mildly optimistic about it. We'll see. I could be wrong.
Yeah,
I hope I'm not. That's how it goes.
I guess we'll see. We'll definitely see. Either
Yeah.
way, I'm just looking forward to the movie that comes out in July. So yeah,
Yes. So it's coming quick. Also, another thing about All-Star Superman, I never liked the idea of a large Superman. I liked him like an average Joe size. I
yeah,
like the idea of Batman being big and massive and Superman not being the same size. Ever since like Jim Lee and a little bit earlier when he drew these guys, suddenly they're identical in height, identical in weight. And I never liked that. I liked the idea of this little guy powered by the sun that could do some cool things, where Batman has to do the opposite. He has to train his body, he has to be overly prepared. And with that said, I'm not anti Cavell in regards to what a Superman look. He looked mighty and amazing.
yeah.
But this other take of having this new fella, Corn Sweat, I believe it's pronounced. I always say it wrong. Well, anyways, Mr. Corn Sweat, I don't think he looks feeble. I think he looks average, and it's not a bad thing, but I can understand people being used to such a massive Superman. It feels like a downgrade. I like the idea of him being a regular guy that does these really cool things. If you ever watched the old 1930s Superman where they drew over pictures and stills of people moving,
Yeah.
he never looked huge in those. And I thought
No.
like they're really awesome. I like that style of Superman. Everybody's going to have a different feel for that. But I'm willing to see this one for what it is, and I'm not going to be like he's not massive like Henry Cavill. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to have that look. And plus, this is why nobody can notice him as Clark Kent. Everybody sees the blue and red, and they see him for bigger than what he actually is. So when he's not wearing the blue and red, he doesn't look huge. It had nothing to do with the muzzles, right? But
Yeah.
I go on and on about that.
Yeah. Actually, it reminds me of the Christopher Reeve Superman because he
Yes.
was a big guy as well, and when he was Clark Kent, he looked totally normal. So
Yeah,
that's the point.
he was more of he looked more like just a natural athlete. He was tall, and again when he wears the suit, he looks the part. But when he doesn't wear the suit, he doesn't look like a bodybuilder trying to hide his muscles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been to the theater a lot lately, but I think I'll go for that. I think the last time I saw was Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that's over a year now. When did Deadpool and Wolverine?
That was last year. I think that was in July, I think.
Release date. Where is it? Yeah, July 25th.
Yep, there you
So,
go.
all of May. Yeah, it's been 9 months.
Well, definitely enjoy it. Well, when you do see it, and we'll have to have a discussion at some point.
Yeah, I'm totally up for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, Ray, thank you very much for coming on again. It was great having you on.
Yeah, I love podcasts, man. I love talking to different people. I'm a social butterfly. I get made fun of by many people I know firsthand. Not in Streamland that I see face to face, and I'm definitely an extrovert. But anybody listening, if you go and check out the Madcaps issue number 2, you can get issue 1 on as well on there. You can find that on Kickstarter. If you want to find me on social, you can look up DM Ray on Facebook. You can look up the Madcaps Facebook page, and then you can also find me as Raymond the DM on both Instagram and what is known as Twixter, or as at least I like to call it that. And those are the only ones I have in regards to social. Other than that, go check out Papa, and I guarantee you they're both great stories. You'll definitely enjoy it.
Yeah. And as always, you can always find me here on Triple Comics YouTube channel. Of course, you have all the links to my social on here. And as always, hit that like button, and subscribe. Well, let's get ready for tonight. I'm Ian Miller, and this has been Triple Threat Comics YouTube channel. Have a good night, folks.